Dear friends, you are in the lecture number 5 of Basics of Electronics. In this lecture, we are going to study about Rutherford's atomic theory or Rutherford's atomic model. But before that, let's recap some of the vital points that we had come across in our lecture number 4. In our lecture number 4, we came across an experiment conducted and a theory proposed by the scientist J.J. Thomson. In the experimental setup, he used a glass tube from which air was evacuated. The glass tube contained two terminals, anode and cathode, two deflecting plates and a phosphor screen. And in that experiment, we could see that electron was discovered. The negatively charged particle electron was discovered, and he could see that there is also some positively charged particles present. So, in the theory proposed by the same scientist J.J. Thomson was based on the models available with him during that time. First of all, the negatively charged electron and positive charge exist in pair inside an atom. The negatively charged electrons revolve around a centrally placed positive charge. The third one is the negatively charged electrons occupied a region of space that was uniformly positively charged. Out of these three theories, he proposed the theory number 3 to be the correct one, and based on this theory, he proposed his own theory, that is Thomson's atomic model, which is also known as plum pudding model, raisin pudding model, or watermelon model. But one of his student, Ernest Rutherford, he prioritized that the second model given by the scientist J.J. Thomson could be the correct one. Okay, so let us go and study about the theory proposed by Ernest Rutherford, which is popularly known as Rutherford's atomic theory or Rutherford's atomic model. So let us come to the experiment. When the alpha particle emanating from this radioactive element strikes the zinc sulfide screen of this detector, a fluorescent spot is generated. So, depending upon the number of fluorescent spots generated, and we can find out the number of alpha particles that have struck the zinc sulfide screen of this detector. When Rutherford conducted this experiment, it was found that 132,000 numbers of alpha particles struck the zinc sulfide screen of this detector per minute. Then what he did, he placed a very thin gold foil over here on the way of this alpha particle. It's a very thin gold foil. And after placing this gold foil, he also counted the number of alpha particles striking this detector. He could see that almost all the alpha particles were able to strike. Then what he did next? And this detector is a movable detector, so he tried moving this detector over here, and the purpose was to see if there is any backscattering or not. And to his utter surprise, he could see that some of the alpha particles were also backscattered. They struck the detector over here, and a count was taken, and when the count was taken, it was found that 20 alpha particles per minute backscattered. It was a surprising result for him, because he thought that because this gold foil is very thin, so almost, or you can say every alpha particle should pass through this gold foil and should hit the detector, but that was not the case. He got 20 alpha particle per minute striking the detector over here, which he assumed to be 0. So his model can be explained like this. Let us assume that this is a gold atom, and on this gold atom, these are the alpha particles which are being struck, and this is the screen on which we can see the alpha particle. So you can, if you think, so now we can see that this alpha particle, it is moving in a straight line, and so you can see here that this particle is able to move in a straight line and strike the screen over here without any deviation. So when we look at this alpha particle, we can see that from this point it is getting deviated and it is striking the screen over here. And this alpha particle, after it reaches this point, it backscatters, so it moves in this direction. So for this alpha particle, it comes back in the same line from which it was emanated, so without continuing its journey or getting deviated or anything of that sort. So it is just coming back in the same direction. And if we look at this alpha particle, after coming to this point, it is getting diverted in this direction. And this one you can see over here. So after reaching this point, it is getting deviated and striking the screen somewhere here. And this alpha particle, these three alpha particles, they are moving and striking the screen over here at these points without any deviation. So what he thought was that because most of the alpha particles are able to pass through this gold atom, and if the number was taken, it was found that it was around 99.86. He assumed that most part of the gold atom is empty. And because he saw some deviations, some of the deviations like this, so these deviations were around 1 degree from the straight line. So had it been, number of these deviations were very less. And again, this is what is our backscattering. The backscattering also took place, and as you can see that the number of backscattering also very less. However, why this backscattering or deviation took place? He thought that something is present over here, and when the alpha particle strikes the edge of this one, it gets deviated at an angle, at this angle, and strikes the screen over here. And when this alpha particle strikes the object or anything that is placed over here, and it gets deviated and strikes the screen over here. And whenever this alpha particle strikes the thing at this point, it gets deviated and strikes the screen over here. And this alpha particle, whenever it strikes the thing, it comes back. So that indicates that there is the presence of something inside the gold atom, and on which most of the mass of the gold atom is concentrated. So that led to the proposition of his atomic theory, which is known as Rutherford's atomic theory or Rutherford's atomic model. So let's go to that. Can you imagine what could be the theory proposed by Ernest Rutherford, which is known as Rutherford's atomic theory or Rutherford's atomic model? Well, pause for a moment and write in the comments box. So, Rutherford's atomic theory. The gold foil experiment, we saw that most of the alpha particles were able to move in a straight line after crossing the gold foil, and they were undeviated. So that indicates that most part of the atom is empty. Had it not been empty, had most part of the atom not been empty, then there would have been something inside the atom, and after striking that, the alpha rays would have got diverted or deflected, but that was rarely the case. That indicates that most part of the atom is empty. The second one, we also saw that some of the alpha particles were diverted at an angle which is less than 1 degree, and some of the alpha particles also backscattered. So that indicates that there is the presence of something inside the atom on which most of the mass of the atom is concentrated. Yes, that is correct. There is the presence of something at the center of the atom on which most of the mass of the atom is concentrated, and that was named as nucleus. And it was found that the charge of the nucleus is positive. The third one, electrons revolve around the nucleus in certain path known as shell or orbit. So you can see over here. So let us assume that this is our nucleus. This is placed centrally, and these are the shells or orbits of the atom. So I have shown 2 orbits or 2 cells, but there can be number of cells or orbits. And here you can see that there is the presence of electrons which have been circled over here, indicates that that is the electrons. So this is one electron, this is another electron, this is one electron, this is another electron. So these 2 electrons are the part of the first cell, these 2 electrons are the part of the second cell. So you can see that the electrons are revolving around the nucleus in certain path which is circular. My dear friends, let's study about the demerit of Rutherford's atomic model. We know that as per Rutherford's atomic model, nucleus is located at the center of the atom and electrons revolve around the nucleus in certain path which is known as shell or orbit. We also know that this these electrons revolve around the nucleus in a certain circular path at constant speed. So let us assume that this electron is revolving around this nucleus at some constant speed. But if we will consider the direction of movement of this electron, we can see that at this point the direction of movement is like this. So let us, because and we know that this electron is moving. So let us say, let us consider another point. So let us say that this point, when the electron reaches at this point, we can say that the direction of movement is something like this. Again, when the electron comes here, the direction of movement is something like this. And again, when it comes here, the direction of movement is something like this. So even if this electron is moving at constant speed, its direction changes. And this change of direction leads to change in velocity. And we know that acceleration is nothing but rate of change of velocity. That means when the velocity of electron changes, it accelerates. We know that this electron, even if it is moving at the constant speed, and it accelerates, and due to this acceleration it should radiate some electromagnetic wave. So that means when this electron radiates electromagnetic wave, its energy should decrease, and if the energies of the electron decrease, then its circular path, its path or radius of the circle should decrease. So you can say that let us assume that from this point the electron starts radiation. So from this point onwards, the electron should move in a in a path having radius lesser than the original one. Okay, so let us see that what happens. So let us say at this point again the electron radiates. So after this point you can say that. So again the radius of the circle should change and it should decrease. So at certain time it should fall into the nucleus. And if another way you can say that your nucleus is positively charged and these electrons negatively charged. Because electron is negatively charged and nucleus is positively charged, so there must be some force of attraction so that the electron should fall into the nucleus, but that never happens. And why it does not happen, it could not be explained by Ernest Rutherford, and that was explained by Niels Bohr. So we shall see this theory in our forthcoming class.